15th day of November 2021. Welcome once again. This is your Lunchtime News and I'm Patricia Lokoma Mpango. Straight away into the bulletin, President Yoweri Museveni has hailed the former Deputy Governor Bank of Uganda, late John Robert Elangot, for contributing towards Uganda's economy in micro and macroeconomic development initiatives. In a speech read for him by the Vice President, Major Right Jessica Lupo, at the home of the late Elangot in Serere Cell, Serere Town Board in Serere District. The President said that the late Elangot shared his wisdom and knowledge with the young generation, guided and nurtured professionals in economics and finance, even after retirement. President Museveni urged the family of the late Elangot to carry on with his great work and trade his path for exemplary legacy.
To live a full life, and that he has been able to pass on some of those attributes.
President Yoweri Museveni has said that the late John Robert Elangot, the former Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda, contributed to the maintaining the economy in both micro and macroeconomic development initiatives, despite the turmoil and political strife at that time in the 1980s. In a speech read for him by Vice President Major Retired Jessica Alupo at the home of the late Elangot in Serere District, the President, in gratitude, said that the late Deputy Governor gladly shared his wisdom and knowledge with the young generation and still continued to guide and nurture professionals in economics and finance, even in his retirement. President Museveni urged the family of the late Elangot to carry on with his great work and tread his path of exemplary legacy. The President contributed 15 million shillings towards the burial expenses.
Even in retirement, we continue to guide private and public financial institutions to serve Uganda better. To the family of the late Muse John Robert Elangot, I pray that God grants you the fortitude and courage to go through this moment of loss and sorrow. This is a time of agony and grief as you reminisce on the beautiful and lovely memories which you shared with your dear father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. We are not only mourning his passing on, but we also are celebrating his great life, which has been saturated with great meaning and purpose.
The Teso chief, Papa Emorimori Augustine Osban Lemokol, said that Teso has lost a great son who has directly touched the lives of many Ugandans, especially through paying school fees, who in turn have been pivotal in uplifting the welfare of their families. Papa Emorimori reminded Ugandans to continue the campaign to stop new infections of COVID-19, which is still killing Ugandans. State Minister Musa Echweru said Teso has lost a big influential person, while the president of the Forum for Democratic Change, Patrick Kamulia, begged government to help the family get the return of the late Richard Elangot. Reporting for UBC TV News, Stephen Kanakulia Sempa.
May his soul rest in eternal peace. Now, in the area of land reforms, the Environment and Natural Resources Committee of Parliament have held a dialogue on the status of land reforms in the country during a meeting organized by Oxfam Uganda. During a dialogue, members of Parliament presented their views on the status of land rights in the country, specifically on the legal framework of land, current land reforms, land challenges, with a view of rallying members to support realization of pro-people land reforms.
Members of Parliament on the Environment and the Natural Resource Committee have held a discussion on status of land reforms in the country, courtesy of Oxfam Uganda. The meeting was meant to create more awareness on the land reforms, mainly compulsory land acquisition in Uganda, and how they impact on Ugandans. The State Minister for Land, Dr. Sam Mayanja, noted that the land acquisition for large-scale investment has been a challenge to the government.
But I understand there are many projects which cannot proceed simply because there is disagreement as to the value of compensation. And you can't violate the Constitution. The Constitution says prior to taking over. As you saw, the Compulsory Acquisition Act didn't contain that. But the court have said that it is unconstitutional. Exorbitant compensation, unclear disturbances, and is paid. Now that is the question of corruption and the question of us, the government, having to strengthen the nuts of corruption.
Delayed government infrastructure and investment projects due to land acquisition related issues causes financial loss as a result of penalties from the contractors for redundant machinery.
So for people who are not from here, when they come to invest here and you tell them that you are the landlord, then you have a spotter, then you have a chivanja holder, then you have a hunt on the land, and all of them want to be compensated. It becomes very difficult and makes us least competitive when it comes to what? To attracting large-scale investment.
What we should do best is to make sure the current law is properly followed. And one of the ways is by recognizing the customary land system. The ministry should start processing customary land certificate and give to those who are owning land customary. And it should be recognized. As we talk now, little attention is being given to those who are owning their land customary.
What we observe as a general observation in our communities is a lack of information, basically, on whether they have a right, how they can use the right, and when they exercise their right, and whether they even have responsibility over the rights that they have on land and how they can use this land responsibly.
In order to balance the interest of the public and the individuals claiming compensation, there is need to amend the law aimed at facilitating expeditious land acquisition by government. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News Tonight.
Now, we're going to take a very short break, but we will return with more news. Stay with us.
Grow together with one of Uganda's largest companies. Apply for MTN shares for as low as 100,000 Uganda shillings. And when you apply using MTN Mobile Money, you get 10 free extra shares for every 100 shares you apply for. Dial *165*65# or use the MyMTN app to apply now. The terms and conditions of the offer and other important information are set out in the prospectus. For assistance, visit any MTN service center or Stanbic Bank branch countrywide or a licensed broker.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Introducing Learn From Home Data Bundles. Customized bundles for you and your family to study or work seamlessly from the comfort of your home. Use any of these affordable data bundles to connect to your MiFis, routers, laptops, tablets, and smartphones while avoiding unwanted internet exposure and ensuring undivided attention during online classes. Enjoy instant access to Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and selected educational websites. Dial *175# to buy your Learn From Home bundle today. Airtel, the smartphone network. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back as your lunchtime news continues. Now, a section of members of parliament from rice growing areas are calling upon government to slow down on evicting rice farmers from wetlands. The reasoning is that the transition from rice growing to another alternative source of livelihood should be gradual. State Minister for Environment Beatrice Atim says government is considering fish farming as one alternative to prevent further encroachment and degradation of wetlands.
Some have done it on small scale, call it subsistence rice growing. Others are doing it on large-scale commercial basis for both consumption and sale. Quite a good source of livelihood, according to beneficiaries. But this has unfortunately been at the expense of the ecosystem, with wetlands suffering extinction. This is what has attracted government attention to embark on a wetland restoration drive.
Why do you go for a rice grower who has been there for ages and has no record of environmental degradation, and you leave someone who is putting down trees whose importance we all know?
This point of view is shared by quite a number of other members of parliament.
Time and immemorial, our people have been growing rice in the wetlands, and there is nothing that has happened. To me, evacuating these farmers from these wetlands is like sentencing them to death.
We all know that climate change has become a reality. We need to preserve these places, the ecosystems, but there are many of our Ugandans who are deriving their livelihood on a daily basis from these swamps and what have you. So my position is that we do not just evict them. What we need to do is to have a process, conduct a proper kind of engagement with the communities who are dealing in rice.
Wetland restoration in Uganda is not just a dream of yesterday. Some members of parliament attest that the head of state has been one of the advocates. This, unfortunately, they say, is coming at the expense of livelihood for rice growers.
Some people grow their rice, they sell it, educate their children, take care of them health-wise, and even it's their source of livelihood. Therefore, to me, as their representative, I wouldn't agree with that.
I think the government should re-strategize, should rethink, should reconsider the outcry of the poor people who are growing rice for their own survival.
The strategy is to have rice growers in wetlands adopt other alternatives, with fish farming being at the fore.
We want the communities which live around these wetlands and maybe our forests to engage them into productive engagement, like the production which they can live on. Like those in the wetland, like those in eastern Uganda, we are proposing to them to engage in fish farming. We made some good calculation of cost-benefit analysis, and we found that they're actually going to benefit more when they do fish farming than they are doing for rice.
At Limoto Wetland, an ecosystem shared between Kibuku and Parisa districts in eastern Uganda, there has been some progress in adopting fish farming.
Even the people themselves, they are not the other people of 2014. They are not hungry like they were.
It is this similar engagement that has been proved successful here that government intends to engage commercial rice growers at Luera wetland on Massacre Road.
We are not going just to chase them away. Of course, the companies like those ones of Luera, we also want to engage them to, if they can undertake another project other than the rice growing, because we need to restore that wetland together.
How successful this will be may be a matter of time, at least for now. What ought to be remembered, however, is that some rice producers like these at Luera wetland are land title holders whose eviction may require compensation. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Thank you very much there, Henry Okrut. Now, recent studies indicate that Ugandans that are not active in the cash economy have reduced from 68 to 38%, and thanks to the decentralization of policies that government makes. This brings to the light the role that the local government plays in national development.
So, the poor don't sleep because they are hungry, and the rich do not sleep because the poor are awake. Thank you very much.
Sometime in early 2019, economic analyst and now permanent secretary Minister of Finance, Ramadan Gobi, delivered an address to local government leaders at Parliament.
Make agriculture a high-value sector. We must make it a high-value sector by raising productivity in order to reduce subsistence.
Of concern was the fact that effective service delivery remained key among the mandates of lower local governments. The same reason why the decentralization policy was adopted by Uganda's government in the early 1990s. Ben Kumumanya is the permanent secretary of the local government ministry.
The first legislation, which was Statute number 15 of 1993, was enacted by the National Resistance Council, empowering local governments to take charge of the management of the affairs of the population. Now, over the years, we have seen a lot of things happening, and actually, recently, and I wish to point out to viewers that the studies have discovered that there has been a lot of improvement in terms of social and economic development of the population, where in the last 5 or 6 years, we have seen, or about 8 years or 9 years, we have seen that the people who are not in the cash economy have actually reduced from 68% to 39%.
This percentage could even go down further if even the composition of the lower local governments is well catered for. On the one hand, there is the political establishment of the district local councils, comprised of directly elected leaders.
The local government councils are mandated to discuss and deliberate on issues affecting the population. And these local government councils are composed of councillors who are elected, for example, at the district level. They are elected from the sub-counties, and these are the directly elected leaders. They are also the special interest groups, the youth, the women, the disabled, the elderly, are all comprising of the councils at the district level from the sub-county. At the sub-county level, they are coming from the parishes.
On the other hand, there is the technical department. Here, technical planning committees are chaired by the chief administrative officers at district level, while town clerks chair at city and municipality levels. All this is done to ensure proper and effective service delivery to the population.
These heads of departments are at the rank of Assistant Commissioner of the Public Service of Uganda. And therefore, you have a very strong technical planning committee at the district level in Madiokoro, in Ntoroko, in Buramburi, in Karangara, which has 9 assistant commissioners chaired by the cow, who is a commissioner, who is actually a director, deputized by a deputy cow, who is actually a commissioner. And this is a team of people well qualified that if they sit, they can draw forward and take forward the agenda of government.
One of the challenges towards executing this mandate has been delayed release of funds. This could, however, be a thing of the past if the assurance given by the Permanent Secretary, Ben Kumumanya, is anything to go by.
Any accounting officer who returns funds which are meant for service delivery, it should be sanctioned because the resources are budgeted for and appropriated for services, and they are released, and therefore they should be able to utilize them as stipulated. And therefore, accounting officers have been put on alert that in an unlikely event of these resources coming late, they should be able to point it out so that as government, we fix it.
Uganda is comprised of various local government units, including 135 districts, 11 cities, and 31 municipalities. In assessing their performance, structural factors including staffing gaps have been some of the indicators. This perhaps is the reason why government has adopted the parish development model to make use of the lower local governments.
And this parish development model is going to fix the remaining challenges that have been disturbing us, hindering us from achieving our objectives as a country.
Who will ensure its effectiveness? Whom does it target? And what does it aim at achieving? These are some of the questions that will be answered in our next episode on Monday about the parish development model. Henry Okurut, UBC.
If you look at all sectors, energy has an influence.
Now, how do we build a model that is sustainable? We're making good investments and we're growing the sector.
Our record under UEP had not been that very good.
World Bank Group has been involved in Uganda electricity sector since the mid-2000s, where it has supported the government in very bold reform.
The last 15 years, we focused on the parameters that were set in our concession that was negotiated at the time. It took the best minds of Uganda to work on it and also the best minds internationally because they had to plan for 20 years ahead.
As remember, we have innovated over the period. We've rolled out cashless. We introduced payment metering, Yaka. As I speak now, the 1.5 million customers are all on Yaka.
The transition has been very, very good because Ugandans who enjoy the power went out and bought shares.
Umeme's massive investment, a robust and functional distribution network that will impact the lives of Uganda's over 40 million citizens.
Everyone is talking about MTN shares. I am Jenny Kafulua Shares, and I am here to show you how you can get them. First, you need a Securities Central Depository account, or SCD account in short, and you can open one right now using MTN Momo. It's free of charge. Just get your phone and your national ID, and let me show you how. Now, why do you need an SCD account? Well, because every time you get shares in any company, well, including MTN, your shares are going to be kept in this account. But this is not a bank account, and you don't need to go anywhere to open it. So is your phone and your national ID ready? Good. Let me show you how to open your SCD account. First, dial *165*65# or use my MTN app. Then select option 1 to submit SCD account application. Then enter your full national ID number or NIN. Next, select your preferred stockbroker and then choose option 1 to accept the terms and conditions. Lastly, enter your mobile money PIN and wait for confirmation, which you will receive on SMS. Oh, by the way, stockbrokers are the people authorized to help you buy or sell any listed company shares, so you need to choose one. That's it. Once you have your SCD account, you're ready to start applying for your MTN shares for as low as 100,000 shillings for 500 shares.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Grow together with one of Uganda's largest companies. Apply for MTN shares for as low as 100,000 Uganda shillings. And when you apply using MTN Mobile Money, you get 10 free extra shares for every 100 shares you apply for. Dial *165*65# or use the MyMTN app to apply now. The terms and conditions of the offer and other important information are set out in the prospectus. For assistance, visit any MTN service center or Stanbic Bank branch countrywide or a licensed broker.
Welcome back from that short break, and right now we're going to take a look at what's happening in the world of business. Now, organizers of the Dubai Air Show 2021 are hopeful that this year's event will give the aviation industry great opportunities. At this year's show, opened on Sunday yesterday, Uganda's national carrier showcased the A330-800 Neo aircraft from Airbus. Our reporter Samuel Senono is in the United Arab Emirates and brings us more.
A fly past by the United Arab Emirates demonstration team marked the opening of the Dubai Air Show 2021 at the Al Maktoum Airport in the United Arab Emirates. At this year's show, Uganda's national carrier, Uganda Airlines, is also showcasing the Airbus A330-800 Neo, which is on static display.
Why did we decide to have it at Dubai Air Show? Because it's a fabulous aircraft. We're showing off the very best that the A330 Neo can offer. We're showing off a fabulous cabin, a beautiful three-class configuration, the high ceilings, the spaciousness that all passengers can feel when on board the aircraft.
For the airline CEO Jennifer Bamuturaki, this will present new opportunities.
It's a huge marketing opportunity, and for Ugandans out there, we're here to stay. Uganda Airlines is not going anywhere. We're growing. We've met so many investors. We've had a lot of investment opportunity discussions for growth for the airline, which is a very positive thing.
At this show, Uganda Airlines is also set to ink a flight hour services agreement with Airbus, which will run for 5 years.
They will be supplying a consignment of spares in Entebbe, which we keep in Entebbe. When required, the parts are used onto our aeroplane. At the same time, we will be belonging to their pool. They maintain a multi-million-dollar supply of spares at their pool. Each time we need a spare, we request for the spare, they supply, and we return the bad, the broken down and serviceable spare to them, and we exchange.
This show will run for the next 4 days, and players in the aviation sector gathered here are expected to deliberate on how best the industry can return to normal amidst the pandemic. For UBC TV, I am Samuel Senono at the Al Maktoum Airport in the United Arab Emirates.
Thank you very much for keeping us company once again. My name is Patricia Lukomampango, and right now we're heading to the sports desk to see what they have in store for us. Good afternoon.
push it back in time.